Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Jerry Hafer. I am the executive director of the AMAC Foundation, and I would like to take a few minutes and explain to you who is AMAC before we get started. And if you look at my screen, the screen that I'm sharing, the Growing AMAC Family is the title of the slide, but we are basically three separate organizations. AMAC.us is the primary organization. That's a membership corporation that is a conservative advocacy group for seniors. It's the fastest growing conservative group in the country. We presently have about close to 2.5 million members and growing rapidly. And it's a membership organization and has member benefits, and primarily AMAC's mission is to advocate for seniors in Washington, making sure that the interest and the important concerns of seniors are conveyed to policymakers in Washington. That's primarily what AMAC does. But then, as I said, it's a membership benefit organization and has a slate of member benefits as well. AMAC Action and AMAC Foundation are AMAC's nonprofit subsidiaries, I guess I would say, or affiliates would be a better term. AMAC Action is a 501c4 and is primarily a direct lobbying organization in Washington, again, meeting with congressional offices and again, conveying the items that are important to AMAC seniors directly to the policymakers in Washington. That's primarily what AMAC Action does. It's our feet in the street, so to speak, on Capitol Hill. AMAC Foundation is AMAC's 501c3 nonprofit with a very simple mission of supporting and educating America's seniors. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but that's basically the AMAC structure. Let me talk a little bit about the AMAC Foundation mission. It's a very simple mission. The tagline is supporting and educating America's seniors, but I typically expand on that and say our mission is to help protect and ensure the financial security, health, and social lives of current and future mature Americans, and to help Americans navigate the bewildering array of decisions they need to make. I just love to say that, the bewildering array, because it really is. And I want to talk a little bit about how we help Americans navigate that array of decisions. But what the foundation does specifically falls into these categories. We conduct public seminars, like the seminar we're doing today. We do 2 to 3 of those a month on average. Some of those are face-to-face seminars where we're located here in North Central Florida. When we do those in North Central Florida, we typically live stream them across our network because we are a national organization. And when we live stream them, then of course we record them just like we're doing today. But we cover topics, again, that are important to seniors. Social Security, for example, we do a seminar on new to Medicare, people that are aging into Medicare eligibility, and a host of other topics that are important to seniors, elder fraud prevention, aging policies, insurance issues, veterans policies, veterans benefits. As I said, we do 2 to 3 of those every month, and we pretty much cover the waterfront of areas that are important to seniors. We also do a lot of publications, again, on things that affect seniors, principally Social Security related issues. The foundation provides policy input to AMAC and the AMAC Action organization about Social Security. And we do a lot of other publications as well. For example, we publish a document called Who's Who in Social Security, which is kind of a roadmap of everyone that's involved with Social Security. And if someone wants to contact somebody, we provide contact information. So that's just an example of one of the publications that we do. We also operate 2 information-packed websites. One is called the socialsecurity.org, and one is called medicarereport.org. And we operate those, we update those, I should say, basically 5 days a week. And we provide breaking news on those subjects, particularly in the Social Security area, things that are happening relative to Social Security policy, bills in Congress, that kind of thing. Just a lot of information for people about how Social Security operates and what's happening in Social Security. And the same thing with Medicare. Medicare and healthcare issues are posted there 5 days a week. And those two websites are extremely, the right word would be just packed with information about those two subjects. I would encourage you to take a look at those and just take a look at what the content is. On the socialsecurity.report.org site, for example, we have a section called Handy Tools and Calculators, I think it's called, where if you want to calculate your expected average life expectancy, that sort of thing, there's tools to help you do that. And so those are the websites that we operate. And again, we update those 5 days a week. And then finally, the fourth major area of the foundation activity is the operation of our accredited Social Security advisory program. We have a staff of right now seven, and we're expanding that staff, trained and accredited advisors that handle questions about Social Security. And it's a very intense area for us. We handle about 700 inquiries on average every month. People that need counseling on Social Security benefits and how they can interpret the rules based on their situation. And it's something that is growing constantly. And the first year we started doing this service, we averaged about 25 inquiries a month, and we're now up to 700, as I said, and it's continuing to trend upward. So it's a service that we know is needed and is very popular with our constituents. One thing I didn't mention, and I should mention it right now, is all of the services that the AMAC Foundation provides are free of charge to the public. We are a 501c3 public benefit corporation, and therefore we don't charge for anything that we do, including the advisory service. And if someone calls us and has a particularly complicated situation, which most of them are, and we need to spend 2 or 3 hours researching on their behalf, we will do that, and we do that free of charge. So that's in essence what the foundation does. And I want to move into our topic for today. Our topic for today is first of all, it's a title that's particularly appealing to me since, well, we're all aging. That's a simple fact. But I've reached the category of where I can call myself an active older adult. So I am 75 years old, and I am continuing to work in the foundation, for example, doing a lot of the foundation kind of activities. And so I consider myself very active, and that's why I'm really looking forward to this seminar today. And I want to introduce Amy Temperley. Amy is, we've had a chance to chat getting ready for this seminar, and is kind of a breath of fresh air in this particular topic. Amy is co-founder and CEO of Aging is Cool. That's a source of activities and information for older adults, and hence my interest in this subject. It's aimed at helping folks stay active and engaged as they age. I have particularly noted that people that don't stay active and engaged, I think personally, age faster. And so that's why this is particularly important. But she focuses, Aging is Cool focuses on activities that can be delivered on site or online or over the phone lines. So that's an interesting perspective. She also provides consulting and speaking services on the subject of active aging. She is also the co-creator of an organization called A Mighty Good Time, which is a one-stop shop for finding activities focused on adults 50 and over. And I've become familiar with A Mighty Good Time, and I'm quite impressed with it. They operate a free site for both users and event hosts, where you can go and find topics that are available to seminar kind of topics that are available to attend, and it's just a good clearinghouse of information on active aging. I suggest you check it out. It's amightygoodtime.com. And, I'm pleased to be working with them on this and other initiatives. Amy is also the owner of a Texas-based company called Temperley Consulting. where she serves nonprofits and social service organizations. She works with small to medium-sized organizations, and she helps focus on transformation strategies, board development, coaching, teaching, and many other development techniques, again, for nonprofits and social service organizations. Just kind of an all-around person. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
Wonderful.
You can take it from here.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm going to let you introduce me from now on. That was pretty good. I think you describe my programs better than I do. So I need your help. Hi, everybody. Glad to be here. I'm excited to share this with you. Today, we're going to talk about today's active older adult. And, I think what's so important is that there's a lot of myths about getting older that are out there. And so we're going to talk about some of the myths of aging that get stuck in our head. One of the most challenging things about getting older and about ageism is that actually we are more ageist towards ourselves first. That's kind of what we learn, right? We beat ourselves up as we get older. So we're going to discuss a little bit about what some of the myths of aging are, and then some of the key things that we think are really important for staying active as you get older. And if you implement these key things in your life, research shows that you actually will live happier and healthier. And I'll tell you a little bit more later on about A Mighty Good Time, which is a great place to find things to do. So again, lots of myths about aging. The first myth is that old people are all the same, that somehow as we get older, we all have the same hangups, the same beliefs, that we all have the same struggles. And the truth is that as you get older, we are more and more different than we ever have been. The older we are, the more experiences we have, the more trials and tribulations and joys that we've been through. And it makes us actually more diverse than any other age group. So one older adult, Jerry mentioned being 75. If you were to look at another 75-year-old, they may be sitting at home in their rocking chair, not working to actually help people and change the world. So there's a lot of differences in older adults. The next big myth is that when you get old, you have to go to a nursing home, or that somehow we're all going to decline into some state of decrepitude where we need to be, in total care. And the truth is that there are a lot more options than there used to be. Now we have home care, we have assisted living. There are a lot of tools and resources out there in the community that can actually help us stay at home. So according to a National Institute on Aging report, now this is 2010 data, I think it's changed slightly, but only about 4.5% of older adults are in nursing homes at any given point in time. So again, this is much lower than we expected. And so if you're worried about going to a nursing home, this is a very small population of people that are going to have this experience. The next thing is that aging is depressing. And you'll see here, this group is a photo we took with one of our fitness classes for Aging is Cool. Pre-COVID, mind you, we're not getting together quite this tightly anymore. But research shows that older adults are actually some of the happiest in the world. And there's some great studies about this. And what's interesting is people get happier the older they get. So 85 and older tend to be happier than even those 60 and older. What is this about? There's a lot of assumptions and a lot of thoughts about what this entails and why people are happier. Some is that we just you could say we're happy to be alive, but that we become more resilient as we get older, and that we've been through life experiences and we've been through challenges. And so we know how to navigate them a little bit better. We have a tendency as we get older to focus on things that are more positive and may give us joy. And then, of course, retirement or semi-retirement can also make you happier. For some, for others, it means that they get to recreate work in a way that is more meaningful for them. The next myth is that aging dulls your wits and inevitably causes dementia. And what everybody needs to understand is, yes, there is, the possibility of Alzheimer's, dementia, different Parkinson's. There's all different kinds of diseases and conditions that can cause memory loss. but it's not inevitable. And there's things that we can do now in our lives to try and slow the progression, to try to prevent certain illnesses. Um, and those percentages get, higher as you get older, but again, you can maintain a lot of your functionality. The other thing that is interesting, if you think about your brain as a file cabinet, right? By the time you're 60, 70, 80 years old, there's a lot of things in your file cabinet. So it may take you a little longer to find the file that you're looking for, but the information is still there. We're also shown through research that some mental capabilities and the way we function in the world, you can see the fact here, depend on accumulated experience and knowledge over time. So in some ways, we're actually better cognitively as we get older, and our capacity to learn new things continues throughout our lifespan. Next myth, aging makes you unable to adapt to new situations. And I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Older adults are actually more resilient and adaptable than probably a younger audience. I read a statistic this morning that said that during COVID, that people 50 and older are actually coping better in the pandemic than younger people are. And part of that is because, again, what we've learned during the course of our lifespan. You think about, I always think about, at this age, walking into a room full of strangers, maybe you go to a party that you've never been to before. By this time in your life, you've done this. You've done this over and over. You have experience on how you navigate these situations or how you navigate a challenge. So you're actually more adaptable than probably a younger group of people. Love this one. Aging erases your libido. Research shows that sexual activity and enjoyment do not decrease with age. Of course, there's lots of health conditions that can impact that, and desire. There's lots of layers to this. We won't go into all of it, but that if that is something that you want to be part of your life, you can continue to have that. And I love Betty White here, who's what, pushing 100. I may be a senior, but so what? I'm still hot. So it's all about how you carry yourself.
She's still one of my favorites.
She's amazing. She's amazing. So there is a myth that older workers are less productive. At Aging is Cool, pre-pandemic, we had about 30 different instructors that were out teaching classes in the community, and 80% of them were over 65. Productivity tends to rise as workers grow older, due to their increased experience, dependability, and capacity for better judgment. I have found that older employees actually are much more, how shall I say, likely to show up. They bring experience. Again, they're resilient. They can navigate new situations. They have better judgment. That's what we have found in our hiring, and that's what a lot of research shows as well. So even though we are fighting this battle for people 50 and older with finding new jobs, hopefully over time we can change some of these ageist attitudes, because research actually shows that we need older workers in our workforce for the diversity and the talents that they bring to the table. So I love this strength, or this quote by Betty Friedan: aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. Here on the left is Dorothy. Dorothy was 82 years old when we had this picture taken. We took a group of older adults to go do trapeze and silks as an activity. And you can see the joy on her face when she tried something new, felt beautiful, felt strong. So even at her age, she was able to try something new, and to get a great result from it. Bottom line, aging has changed. We're living longer and healthier lives. If you are able to retire at 65 or 68, you might still live an additional 30 years. What are you going to do with those years? How are you going to find ways to stay active and engaged in your world? This is not the rocking chair generation anymore. It's completely changed. So what do we do? And let's talk about how we can stay more active. So there are 5 key pieces that we at Aging is Cool have researched over the past few years that we think are very important to active aging. The first is physical activity. The second is cognitive stimulation, so the mental piece. Third is finding meaning and purpose in your life. We all have to have a reason to get up every day. Social interaction and relationships, and gratitude, acceptance, and humor. And I'm going to touch on a few points on each of these to tell you how to address them. So the first thing is physical activity. And a lot of us, if you haven't been very active when you were younger, or you weren't involved in a gym or fitness programming, so many of us are exploring this. And I say us because I'm one of those people. I'm 51. I've had 3 back surgeries. Fitness is very intimidating to me because a lot of things are actually painful or uncomfortable. But when we're talking about physical activity as you get older, the main thing that you need to do is move your body, move it in whatever way that means. And there's a lot of different, creative ways to do that. Walking, obviously, great activity. That is something that many of us can still do. You can walk in your neighborhood. My mother has some health issues, and she has found that she walks up and down her kitchen counter so she can hold on. She doesn't have great stability, and she walks while her food is in the microwave. That means 3 times a day she is walking for at least 5 to 10 minutes. So it's, whatever way that you can incorporate, get it done. There are tons of fantastic fitness classes. I know right now a lot of gyms and senior centers and places where we previously got that kind of activity are not being offered. But there is so much stuff online, whether that be recorded fitness videos, live fitness videos, lots of different ways that you can interact with other people, even live personal training. I did live personal training the other day where a trainer actually was able to watch me and tell me what I needed to do and how to do it correctly. So there's a lot of alternatives for that. Weight bearing exercise is really important as well for our bones. So along with moving your body, even something as simple as taking 2 cans of peas in your hands and using them as weights, or using light hand weights, finding ways that you're actually increasing your weight bearing over time. Yoga, Tai Chi, dance. There's so many cool things that you can do out there. And a lot of them can be adapted for older adults. So great instructors out there that actually adapt them so that you can, again, for people like me, where yoga is not really an option, I can't get on the floor and get back up very easily. Chair-based yoga is fantastic. I can do that, and it's really a good stretch. Or Tai Chi that's chair-based. You can find that out there in your community. Cognitive activity is an interesting one. So this is a really new hot piece of active aging. They did some research, and we're starting to find that throughout your lifespan, you can actually create new nerve cells and connections. And part of that is through doing things and learning new things. So here are a few things that I want you to be really mindful of. The number one thing that you can do for your cognitive ability is socialization. And we preach this to the highest, to the mountaintops. If you do nothing else for your brain, a great way to keep your brain healthy is by interacting with other people. When you're having a conversation with somebody, you're making eye contact, you're watching their micro expressions on their face, you're reading their body movements, you are processing what they're saying and coming up with a response of your own. All of that is incredibly good for your brain. So if you do nothing else, find a way at least a couple of times a week to interact with somebody else in your life. The next thing is to do something new with your brain. And this can be as simple as driving a different direction to the grocery store. Your brain needs new stimulation. Brush your teeth with the opposite hand. Learn something new, take a class, think about things that maybe you loved as a child that you'd like to circle back to. So find new things to do with your brain. The third one is kind of interesting. They've discovered this through a lot of programs with children. And one of the ways that children learn and increase their brain power is by cross-body movements. So when you think about boxing, maybe you're punching across the center line, or dancing. Anytime your hands or your legs cross that center line, it's actually good for your brain. So kind of an unusual thing. Exercise, exercise, again, just movement, even briefly exercising for 20 minutes facilitates information processing and memory function. This is about oxygen and blood flow to your brain. So that's how exercise helps. And then eating right and getting enough sleep and reducing your stress. So all good stuff for your brain. You can actively make this part of your life and actually help create new brain cells and maintain functionality. This one's really interesting. My husband's gotten very interested in meaning and purpose lately and has done a lot of research around this. And finding meaning and purpose in your life has been shown to relate to improved physical, emotional, and cognitive well-being. Um, when we have a job, even if we don't love the job, there's a reason for us to get up every single day. When we have children, even if being a parent is hard or being a caregiver is hard, we have something every day. It's a goal. It's a thing that we do where we can feel a sense of accomplishment. So meaning and purpose are really important to us throughout our lifespan, and we have to actively create this for ourselves as we get older and maybe we're not parenting anymore, we're not working anymore. So of course, self-actualization, how do I be a better person? You know, some people are really into that. Finding your spiritual center, and for others, that's religion. Maybe it's something specific there. Giving back, how do you change the world? Can you volunteer? Can you help somebody in your life or just make somebody smile? And then, of course, employment. A lot of folks don't retire, or they retire for a little while and then realize that they're really bored, or they don't have that sense of meaning or reason to get up every day. So maybe it's going back to work or trying a new job that's important to you.
Yeah, I'm actually one of those. I'm
Are you?
on my fourth career.
It's really, I find this is really important. And it used to be for men in particular, it was really important. But we're seeing more and more of this for women now that we've had women in the workforce for such a long time,
Right.
that it really is important. And my sister's about to retire as a school teacher in the next year. And she's been thinking really seriously about, what can she do part-time that would give her some joy. And she's going to go, she thinks she wants to work at a craft store, where she can be around something she likes and then
Sure.
have kind of this easy job, a little bit of extra income. So, it is important to find that. And then I think it doesn't have to be on this list, right? Even if you love gardening, if you love painting, if you love reading, find something that just really gives you some joy. I found during COVID that I really like woodworking, of all things. I learned to woodwork, and it gives me a lot of joy and a lot of purpose and something to look forward to on my weekends. So find those things for yourself. I mentioned earlier social interaction and relationships. Loneliness and isolation are really considered to be the new health crisis around the world. There's amazing programs that are cropping up internationally around this. Even at the governmental level, there are programs coming up. Being isolated is the health equivalent of smoking a half a pack of cigarettes a day. When we're lonely and isolated, we tend to move less, we tend to eat poorly, we tend to drink more, we tend to self-medicate more, it can result in heightened depression, which has its own, bunch of health things. So again, finding ways to interact with other people, it's incredibly important, whether that's a phone call with a friend or a loved one, finding a group online or Zoom, getting out there and meeting new people. It's really, really key to your health. I'll tell you more about some of this later on, but there are websites out there. Jerry mentioned a mighty good time. I'll tell you more about that in a few. Meetup.com. These are around the country. You can go to sites, meetup.com. You can actually type in an interest and find all kinds of groups that get together. There are some dating sites for older adults. What was the one I saw the other day? I think it was called Time of Our Life or something like that. Senior centers and libraries are amazing. Seeing some great programming coming out in these settings. And then, of course, faith-based organizations. There's always good stuff going on. So this is another interesting thing. Attitude actually impacts your health. And I have found myself during COVID actually struggling around this. There's so much negativity out there, so many things that are sad. right? And it does impact our actual physical, mental, and physical health. And I bought this week, actually, I ordered 2 books that were daily affirmations that have positive thoughts for the day that I'm trying to start my mornings with. And here are some of the ways that it impacts your health. So people who show hostility towards others have more cardiovascular disease, metabolic disease, and die at younger ages. So being hostile, having that kind of angry sensation. There's also some research showing that your mental patterns can literally impact your DNA. I am not a physician by any sense of the imagination, but I will try to explain this. When you think about a DNA strand, I think we all kind of know what a DNA strand is. At the end of each strand is something called a telomere. And think about a telomere like the little tip on your shoelace that holds it together to keep it from fraying. And what they have found is that your negative mental patterns and negative attitudes can actually cause those telomeres to fray. So the ends of your DNA are starting to fray. And what that means is what it does is impacts aging. That's how aging happens, is when that starts to kind of unravel. So the way that we think, our mental patterns can actually impact our DNA. How they did this study, I have no idea again, but you can find it online if you want to know. And then we've all kind of seen this before. Illness tends to progress faster for pessimists. We all know someone that's had cancer or some other kind of illness or chronic pain, that their attitude actually seems to impact how they heal and how their journey through that illness looks. So really thinking about, our attitudes and what we're focused on. I have cut out a lot of social media. I only, kind of check in on my news site once a day. I try not to feed my brain with so much negativity because it actually can impact my health.
That's an interesting comment, interesting perspective on social media. I think social media, unfortunately, has progressed to the point of being a kind of a downer for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I think it's gotten way out of control. I have personally stepped away from Facebook and things like that. And I have a Facebook account, but I only look at it when my daughter tells me that she's posted a picture I need to see.
I love that. Yeah,
Other than that,
I
yeah.
stopped a while back. I had followed some news sites and things on Facebook and Twitter and realized that it was just so negative. And so I check in with my one trusted news site once a day. And then I try to only follow really positive things as much as I can. It really has changed my experience of my day. And especially to not do social media first thing in the morning. That is helpful as well. And so last one is gratitude, acceptance, and humor. We all get older. And I mentioned earlier, that we're probably the most guilty of being ageist against ourselves. Aging is a normal part of life. Everybody's doing it every single day. We're all going to hit this. And, when we talk about aging is cool, we get 2 responses. One is the thumbs up and people say, yeah, it is. And then we get the thumbs down and people say, oh, it's horrible. In fact, sometimes our logo actually makes people angry because they say it's not cool. And what we mean by that, we understand that sometimes you're going to hurt. And sometimes, you have more losses as you age, and maybe you're losing people around you, and life is not always what we expect. What we mean by aging is cool is that you actually can get better and you actually can enjoy things throughout your lifespan, and that it's a cool thing. Everybody's doing it. So let's try to figure out how to make it better throughout that. So embrace the parts of you that are better than they were years before. I think I'm a much more patient person. I think I am much more compassionate and attentive to people around me as I get older. That's a great thing. Is my body a big old mess? Do I wish that I could have spine replacement surgery? Of course I do. But there are other pieces of me that get better and better as I get older. Find something to be thankful for every single day. There is actually research. I should actually fix this a little bit. It's really find something to be thankful for 3 times a week. So there has been some research that shows if you will write down what you're grateful for just 3 times a week, it will actually improve your mood and your optimism and the way that you view the world around you. So write it down, write down something in a journal or a piece of paper, drop it in a jar, whatever you need to do, but find something to be thankful for. Laugh when you cry, laugh when you can, cry when you need to. This is not always an easy journey. We have to acknowledge that. And stuffing our feelings down about, our sadness and our hurt is not going to help. Get support, share the journey with others. If you find yourself in situations where you are sad or depressed and you're not able to get out of it, please do reach out. There are hotlines, there are people who care about you and want your life to be better. Reach out to others around you and don't go through those things alone. So lots of ways to stay active. The 3 things that we talk about at Aging is Cool, if you want to just kind of gel it down into one, is stay strong, stay smart, and stay social. Those 3 things are going to make a massive difference in the way that you age. So the last thing I want to tell you about is A Mighty Good Time. Jerry mentioned it at the beginning. I thank you for that. So amightygoodtime.com is a website that we have built in collaboration with a company called Heart and Soul Care. And it is a one-stop shop for older adult activities around the country. So we launched in January, and we've been spending the last 8 months curating the best of the best, trying to find activities that people 50 plus would like to be involved in. Right now, the website is mostly virtual activities and phone-based activities. There's a combination of free and paid activities, so you'll see a little bit of both. We hope as the world begins to open up again, we'll actually have in-person activities that our hosts are providing. And I think right now we've got about 60 different organizations that are posting activities on our site. AMAC Foundation is one of those. Thank you. And it's super easy to navigate. You can go in there, you pick the day or time that you'd like to find a class. And then we have probably, 30, 40 different categories that you can choose from. Fitness, brain training, social activities, lifelong learning, art, music, science. There's so much stuff on there. Volunteer opportunities. There's a little bit of everything. So go to the site, check it out, see if you can find some things, and just start popping into classes. A couple times a week, I pop into different classes just to try them out. I've done meditation. I've done, like I said, I did a personal training class the other day, which was really interesting. So find something that works for you. A lot of these classes, most of them, are by organizations that work with older adults, and their programs are adapted for that. So especially the fitness programming, more than anything, is usually altered so you can do it seated or standing, whatever works for you. So find something that gives you joy, purpose, meaning, makes you happy, keeps you moving. And here's my contact information if anybody wants to get in touch. Amy at agingiscool.com, and I'm happy to provide any support. So thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you. That was enjoyable. And one of the things that we do at the foundation is we conduct a seminar series called Sudden Death, Are You Prepared? That has a negative sound to it, but basically it's about building a survivor's notebook for the people you're leaving behind. And it's been a tremendous lot of interest in it. We've done it 24 times now in the past 3 years.
Wow.
And we have more. We have one running right now. It's a 6-hour program stretched over 3 weeks, 2 hours at a clip. And we bring in attorneys to talk about end of life things. We bring in hospice people, just a whole host of speakers, professional speakers that can share things that you need to know, for that. And the reason I mention it is because one of the things we do talk about right in the very beginning is the simple fact that none of us are getting out of this life alive.
That's right. Very true.
And people, it kind of wakes people up like, yeah, that's true. That's true. So, you might as well make the best of it. And I think that's a lot of your theme. Yeah. And the more that you make the best of it, the better off you're going to be. And And so, we've gotten so much positive feedback from doing that session that I'm going to recommend this. People watch this video, because I think it has a lot of helpful hints for people. So it goes along with that theme, that, hey, we're all in this together.
Yeah, it's just about finding little things that you can integrate into your life. And the earlier you start, the bigger the payoff. And,
Absolutely.
I tend to be a little bit, my husband and I are both a little bit of loners, believe it or not, despite the fact that we do this sort of, outreach for our job. But we have to actively really, make an effort to once a month get together with people, or to, get out in nature or do things. Otherwise, we tend to hole up in our house. So it's,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
choice. It's a choice. And we know that it's going to make a difference in our aging. And so we, try to do as much as we can.
Yeah, you have to force yourself to do it. I think that although I've talked about how I like to be active and how I am active, sometimes that recliner just looks so inviting.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, I hear you there. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to treat yourself from time to time. Just don't let that recliner be your everyday experience.
well, we have dogs, and the dogs need to be walked, and you know, when they're ready to be walked, they want to be walked,
Right.
and so they will get the leash and bring it to me.
I hear you there. They
And
know
that's
what they
good.
want.
Yeah,
They're being
that's
active.
good. Our website has a lot of, we publish a blog article every Monday morning of a topic of interest to seniors. And there are a few articles on there about the importance of having a pet, the benefits of having a pet. And I think having a pet adds a lot to your life,
It does.
frankly.
Yes.
So that's just another aspect of um, staying active, I guess. The pets will make you stay active. And my
Yes.
wife, My wife is into competition with our terriers statewide. She's all over the state, competing in things like barn hunt. I won't get into what that is, but
Wow.
barn hunt. And another one that we do is called Fast Cat, which is drag racing for dogs.
Oh, I'm very interested in that. I'll have to check this stuff out.
Yeah, look up Fast Cat. It's an exciting thing. They run 100-yard dash, really, chasing a lure, you know, which is what certainly what terriers are bred for.
I bet they love it. I bet the
Yeah,
dogs just really love that. That's hilarious.
yeah, it's funny to watch. The funny part is watching them try to stop at the end of the 100 yards. Yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
but again, to your theme, it's just something that compels us to go to these kind of things and be around people and doing things, and it's just all about staying active.
Yeah, find the joy, the things that make you smile.
Yep, yep. Well, okay. I think we'll wrap it up with that. And Amy, it's been a pleasure,
Thank you so much.
and I look forward to working with you again in the future.
I do too. Thank you so much. And thanks for all the AMAC Foundation does.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, take care.